All right, so I'm excited to be here today with my new friend, Tim Cole. Tim is the co-founder and CTO of a company called SongPad, which is a platform that helps songwriters to be able to enhance their songs and get recognition. He blends deep musical insights from his background as a worship pastor and songwriter and his extensive tech experience working with major brands. And that culminated in a platform called SongPad that is a personal songwriting tool which unexpectedly grew into a successful company serving a large user base. And I had a chance to dig around a little bit underneath the hood with the platform that you created with SongPad, and I'm really excited about what I saw. I'm looking forward to digging a little bit more and seeing a demo that you can share today about how musicians can basically use this tool to supercharge their songwriting process. So, Tim, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today.
You're welcome. It's great to be here.
Awesome. So yeah, I would love to hear just a brief introduction about your role and how you discovered this SongPad platform. It sounds like you were kind of creating it for yourself, but in your bio you mentioned that you have also worked with several successful brands with like technology. So how did it come about? How did you create SongPad?
Yeah, I'll try and give you the succinct version. Sometimes when I get into telling the story, I can kind of go on a bit. So jump in if you need me to kind of pull me back to point at any point in the process. But so I've been writing songs since I was like a teenager, like a lot of people. That's when I started, learned guitar and started writing stuff probably like around 13, 14, that kind of thing. And they were terrible songs that I wrote back then. I wouldn't play any.
What, your first songs weren't just like amazing?
Yeah, I know.
It's so different for me. Yeah, my first songs. Wow. So we all start for sure.
Yeah, and then through the years, I literally wrote stuff on the back of envelopes to start with and notepads, and I had a little like tape recorder, if anybody remembers tapes, from back in the day, and to capture ideas and that kind of thing. And as time went on, there didn't seem to be a good place to kind of collect all my songs together. As I got older and as technology moved on, there was stuff like Evernote, there was the Notes app on my phone and that kind of thing. But I still ended up with bits of ideas scattered around all over the place. I had Word documents, I had notes, I had Evernote, I had bits of paper still. And I thought, there's got to be a better way of organizing this stuff. So that was kind of the initial spark. I kind of thought, I must be able to build a database or something. Looking at my background in tech, I've worked on web apps and apps with people through the years, different companies. And I thought, this is quite simple to build a bit of a database. And then as I thought about it more, I thought, well, there's quite a few tools that you need as well. Rhyming dictionaries, that sort of thing. And again, I would, when I was writing something, I would either use paper-based, actual books. Again, if anybody remembers what an actual book is these days, but like I had those, or I had browser tabs open with Rhyme Zone and, looking up synonyms and this kind of thing. And again, I kind of, as I thought about it, I thought there's got to be a way of integrating this stuff into a tool so that I can capture my ideas, I can keep them all safe, know where everything is, but also have the everyday tools that I need during the writing process just right there available to me as well. And so I looked around and there wasn't really anything that did that. There were things that did bits of, solve bits of the problem, but not the whole thing. And so I started I actually started working on a desktop app. That was my first idea with it. And I quickly moved into a web-based thing because I decided that I wanted to have it accessible, on different devices and so on. And so that was kind of the initial spark, the initial idea. And I've got skills from my kind of day job in tech enough to be able to build out the platform. So I built out a basic version of the platform. And I also started dabbling a bit with AI as well. Back before ChatGTP was a thing, there was OpenAI released, I think they called it GTP2 back then. It was like the forerunner to the actual ChatGTP platform. And I played around with that a little bit. I built a collection of song lyrics and I trained it on that to see if I could get it writing anything useful. It wasn't that great. It would occasionally spit out like a line or something that you go, oh, that's an interesting idea. It takes me in a different direction. But it certainly wasn't, as capable as the AI tools are that are available now, which that in itself is a big topic. So I'll put a pin in that, and you can ask me to come back to it if you want to, the whole AI thing. So yeah, so the product got to a point where it was kind of built and usable, and I put it online, and along with a friend who was kind of my co-founder in it, we spent an afternoon and we built a one-page website that just said, hey, here's this tool, and we just kind of left it there. And I used it myself when I was writing, and we have a tool that tells us how many people are signing up and that kind of thing. And initially, kind of, nobody signed up because we weren't doing anything to promote it. And then I think it was kind of through COVID and stuff, the sign-ups went from a sort of a trickle where we'd maybe get like one a day or, one every few days, to getting 20, 30, 40 people a day signing up. And at that point, we realized, hey, there's something in this. This is an interesting idea that can maybe go somewhere. And so we formed the thing as a proper company at that point. I kind of been running it as a kind of side project in my main business. And then I decided through most of last year to invest quite a lot of time in building out various features. So I enhanced the platform quite a lot during sort of 2023. And we added in the ability to collaborate and share, kind of similar to Google Docs, so you can real time work with a co-writer and edit the song together. We added in support for chords, so you can type in your chord progression and it will detect those, and you can then play that in the browser live and kind of loop that chord progression. And you can export it as MIDI to take into your DAW to begin working, that kind of thing. We built in some other chord tools as well, which I can talk about in a bit of detail later if you want me to. And we enhanced some of the AI offering. And I will just take a moment and kind of say, on the AI side of things, my view of AI is I treat it like another tool, like a rhyming dictionary, like a, whatever kind of tool in that sense. I'm not looking for like song robot of like smash a button and out comes a song. That's not, as a songwriter myself, that doesn't really interest me. But what does interest me is, hey, how can, if I'm stuck on a line, or if I'm stuck on the idea of verse 2 or whatever it is, can this thing help me a bit like any of the other tools to kind of nudge me on and give me an idea, give me a bit of inspiration where I'm lacking it. And so that's what I try to do in terms of baking AI into the product. It's not a straight up kind of AI song bot like some of the stuff I was reading. There's a thing that's coming out in a couple of weeks that they're starting to announce that can, that will generate the whole thing. That's not what this is about.
Suno AI, I think is one of the front runners right now.
Yeah. I haven't looked closely at that yet, but yeah. So I'm not going to kind of comment too much on it because I don't know exactly what it does. But from our perspective, what I'm trying to do, like I say, is add it as another tool in the toolbox, not use it to replace songwriters. That's not my intent. What we do have though, and where we have found it to be useful, is in the platform we've done some fine tuning and prompt engineering things to help to have the AI actually produce song critiques. So it'll actually analyze your lyrics and give you suggestions and ideas, comment on your use of metaphor and this kind of thing. And when I was building that, I was using it on my own songs, and there were a couple of times when what it came out with, I was like, that's actually a really good idea, And so it's not just a gimmick to me. It does genuinely kind of spark different thoughts and help with the whole creative process. And so I'm going to take a breath and let you ask me a question because I've done my motor mouth thing.
I mean, it's amazing. Tim, have you ever seen the movie The Terminator?
Yeah. A long time ago.
I'm just kidding. AI, evil, no! That is awesome. I mean, that makes me so excited to hear what you're building and like integrating, the the AI service is, because I mean, everyone that's listening to this right now, that's, listening to our podcast, knows I geek out on this stuff, and I'm a big proponent of AI. And similarly to you, like I think it's important not to look at it with too much fear and try to resist it because we're afraid we're going to be like replaced by it, but to use it as a tool to extend our creativity and to extend our human capabilities. So it's really interesting to hear that you're playing around with that. You've integrated it. The critiques in particular is like a really interesting use case for it.
Yeah.
I would love to take a look at it. Yeah, if you want to. I know we talked a little bit about you sharing your screen and maybe sharing a demo of it, but yeah, if we could actually do a quick overview of the platform itself, I think it would be really cool to check out.
Okay, great. I will attempt to screen share.
And while we're doing this, if anyone in the community has a question or is interested in starting to brainstorm some ideas about the capabilities of this as a songwriting tool, feel free to put those in the chat or raise your hand, and afterwards we can bring you guys on here live.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we love to kind of get feedback from people and work with people who are songwriters and hear what is useful to them and what the kind of the pain points for them. Because obviously, being a songwriter myself, I've got certain insight into that, but we all have our individual kind of approaches and processes and different kind of things that we maybe struggle with. So it is important not to kind of just limit it to being the kind of my experience.
100%. Yeah.
So hopefully, can you see my screen? And
we can. Yeah.
So
cool.
this is kind of the dashboard. This is just a basic account. So I've not got. This is my main account. This is my test account. So I haven't got loads of songs in here. But
can we write a song right now, Tim?
Sorry,
just like can we write a song together right now? I'm just maybe first let's do an overview of it, but then it might be kind of fun to like you and me like right now on the spot we generate something.
Okay, we can certainly give that a shot. So in the dashboard, we've got the kind of two main sections. One is your kind of songs, which come out in a list, and you can filter those, and you can access various kind of features on them. And then on the right here, we're working with a partner to provide people with sync opportunities, which is something that we've only started recently doing because we want to kind of help not just with the writing process, but helping people to actually kind of get their songs heard and that kind of thing. So we're working with different people in different ways. We've got some other stuff coming soon as well.
Cool.
And yeah.
I got some contact, like some pretty heavy hitter contacts in the sync industry that I could connect you with if it'd be a valuable contact.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah. I mean, we're as I say, we're kind of, we think about the whole kind of process of songwriting as being a kind of a chain, and we sit right at the start of that chain. We're kind of in the space of like inspiration, writing your chord progression, writing your lyrics, that kind of thing. We're not looking to make a door in the cloud or anything like that. We know what our kind of space is within the life cycle of a song, but we are really interested because we sit at the beginning of that process, working with partners who can help people take things on at the next steps. And so, yeah, any conversations like that are really interesting to us, how we can kind of link people up. I'm going to dive straight into this test song just so I can show people the interface a bit. So when you first create a song, it puts in an example just to give you a bit of help to know how you can structure things. So the lyric format is it's kind of sort of a Chord Pro format, kind of a text-based format that uses labels in square brackets, which comes in helpful for some of the AI stuff. Just it gives it a hint as to what sections are being written, that kind of thing. And so that's why that's there. You can comment by putting a hash at the start of a line, and commenting stops the syllable counter from counting that line, just because it gets a bit annoying if you're kind of writing comments and you see the kind of syllable count, which is this number here on the left. That cool. Yeah, if all of those lines were having their syllables counted, you can get just a bit distracting.
Label your sections, verse, chorus.
So you can see, in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that out of there. I mentioned when you type in chords, it will detect those and create a chord roll. So if I type, this is some, I just put some words in there. So you can see as I do that, it counts the syllables in real time. So that's obviously, interestingly, this is a feature that people comment on a lot and say that's really, really useful because of, trying to structure
That's
your
interesting too.
verses with
So
the same number of
to do that, it has to
syllables in
understand each word,
line.
like how many syllables.
Yeah.
Not just
If you're
character
sitting there on
count,
your
but
feet
like,
going, I was, that's how I used to do it. Sit there on my hands, trying counting up, the syllables in words. But when you type chords in, it will detect those, and then you can see it starts to lay those out at the bottom, which you can then play.
Cool.
Yeah, there are various tools on the right. So I mentioned the kind of, nothing's going to rhyme with lyrics, is it? So if you highlight a word, let's change it. This is a song. So if you highlight a word, that activates the tools on the side. So here's my synonyms for song. Here's my rhymes for song. Near rhyme. As for the AI thing, it's cool. It's not necessarily like, I wouldn't say just use
what kind of song are you trying to write?
It rhymes. So you've got those kind of basic rhyme tools, synonym tools, that kind of stuff, antonyms, similar meanings, those kinds of things. Anything on that list, if you click on it, it will copy it to your clipboard, and then you can just paste that in straight into the lyrics where you want. Then we've got what we call Lyric Helper, and this is the AI component, and we've got two modes on that. So we've got what we call basic mode, which essentially looks at what you've already written, and you can give it a steer with genre, mood, and the style of an artist or writer, and it will look at what you've already written and attempt to sort of continue that on using the inputs that you've given it. And then in advanced mode, it's kind of more surgical, as I was talking about when I was kind of outlining my perspective on AI. It's advanced mode is designed for individual lines. So you see, it says there, select a line in your lyrics to get started. So the idea is you select a line, and then following that line, I need a line that rhymes with, starts with, or contains the word or phrase. So that then generates a list of suggestions. Let's try it. That's rhymes with. I need a rhyme that's rhymes with the word song. And this can be a bit variable. I mean, like I said earlier, being honest with people, it's powered by the open AI GTP engines stuff underneath, but it didn't do it. I don't know what's going on.
Maybe
there.
it triggered the word schlong got triggered, and it was like, this is inappropriate. We cannot share this.
Steve Jobs demo moment, and the demo doesn't work. I'm not going to try it.
It happens.
Loads of times. I'll just move on. The chords tool. So I mentioned this as well. This is quite an interesting area, I think. So we give you, you can choose your key, and we give you common chord progressions in that key, which you can again just copy and paste that into the song, and you can click to play any of those progressions as well to just hear. Kind of preview that progression before you. I think my browser's getting a little bit upset with trying to do things and share screen at the same time.
It's coming through though. Yeah, we can hear it and we can see it.
Cool. And then we've got the kind of what we call the harmonic scale. So this is an interesting thing, and I sort of nerd out on this a little bit. This is not the circle of fifths. People look at this and go, oh, it's a circle of fifths. It's not. This is slightly different. So the idea here is that we're all familiar with the melodic scale, da 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 da, but the harmonic scale is less well known. But it's an arrangement of the chords in a particular key that, because of the way that the individual chord tones move, it sets up a really interesting tension and release. So if you move around the circle in a clockwise direction, I'll attempt to play it in a second, but you'll hear the way those chords progress. there's a really pleasant kind of movement of the individual tones within them. So we go like E. So I don't know how well that came out at the speed and so on, but it's
interesting. This, I don't know if it's like an optical or a audio illusion, but the E chord, I'm like hearing like a seventh in the E, and I don't know if it's just the way that, like, for some reason, like a overtone or undertone or something is happening. It's just interesting.
Maybe a bit of compression, like in the video stream or something, that's making that squidge a bit. There shouldn't be. Those should be kind of straight triads, but. Yeah, but I mean, there are the variations here that you can play, and you can hear those. I don't think I clicked one of those by mistake. Maybe I did.
I think it was just a streaming thing. Yeah, I assume that. Yeah, the actual when you're listening to it normally, you don't hear like a seventh with it.
Yeah. So the interesting thing when you get into this harmonic scale tool is that the kind of strongest relationships in terms of the way that those chord tones are moving are if you move around in that clockwise direction, but obviously you don't want to just always do that, because that's going to be a boring chord sequence if everyone uses that the whole time. So what the background colors do is they kind of highlight the strongest relationships. So from dark to light, so dark being the strongest, light being the weakest, so that each time you choose a new chord, so say we start on E, right, then we go to F sharp minor, then we know that G sharp minor and B are the kind of strongest places we can go to from that chord. So it helps you to kind of create a chord progression that's maybe a little bit more imaginative and a bit more creative than just reaching for what you usually reach for. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I tend to kind of default to a certain 4-chord pattern, and this kind of helps me break out of that a bit and just come up with something that's potentially a little more interesting than just falling back to your defaults. And when you add in as well the variations and kind of those seventh chords and ninths and so on, then it can take you to a very different place as well. So the chord tool is kind of we've got a video that explains some of what I've just said there as well, because it's not something that's necessarily obvious if you just dive straight into it, but I find it one of the most useful things in terms of, like I say, helping me kind of come up with something that's a bit more interesting and creative than just kind of your standard 4-chord wonder stuff. And then lastly, on those tabs, we've got recordings tab, which you can, so if you've got chords in here, oops, it's not going to recognize that one, G, C, D, E minor. So if you've got chords in here, you can actually record, and it will loop the chords, and you can record audio at the same time. So you can make a scratch recording to capture your idea, and those recordings will be listed here in this tab once you've actually started making some. I'm not going to attempt to do that now because I don't trust the streaming and everything to not go a bit weird if I start trying to record stuff at the same time. Then, so that's the kind of the main sort of tools there on the right. And then on the left, there's some other tabs as well. So there's sort of a song information tab where you can put in stuff like the title and the key. That's linked to the key on the chords tool, BPM, genre, all this kind of thing. And you can add writers, and you can add writer details in terms of PROs and those kinds of things, which is particularly useful if you're submitting stuff to the sync opportunities that we've got in the platform, or if you want to capture all of that metadata with your song when you're working on it. All of that's in there. There's an outline tool, which is, so this is kind of a place where you can just make some notes and plan your song. And there's also what I call the guided outline, which comes from one of the Berklee School of Music songwriting courses. So there's one of the courses that I did quite a few years ago now. I think it's by Pat Patterson, I think is the guy's name, and he talks about this concept of 3 boxes as you write the song. So this tool is kind of inspired by his approach and some of what I learned from that course. So it gives you, if you're stuck, you can start to think about some of those questions to help structure out your song. Auto recordings is another space where you can. It's kind of a legacy thing. Before we put the tab on the right, that this was where audio recordings used to live. And then there's the reviews section, which is what I was speaking about earlier in terms of the AI critiques. So if we try and write something, we can then, once we've got enough lyrics in there, we can request a review, and it takes it a few minutes, and then it kind of comes back with its suggestions and its pointers. I think that kind of covers most of what's. No, it doesn't. I've missed a couple of key things. I'm just about to say, hey, that's everything, and it isn't. So there's an additional tool here which I'm going to need to write something in order to get it to actually show up. These are some words. They can't type and talk at the same time. Okay, so this hints switch underlines the words with different colors depending upon the word type. So nouns and pronouns and adjectives and these kinds of things get a different color. Again, this is partly from some of the Berklee School of Music lyric writing stuff. So if you want lots of green and purple because that gives you a nice kind of, strong lyrics. Lots of red, lots of words like just and if and, things tend to weaken things. So if you end up with whole lines that are highlighted in red, or a lot of a line is highlighted in red, you probably want to think about rephrasing that because it's probably not as strong as it could be lyric wise. There's a little bit of an explanation about that if you hover over the question mark there that kind of explains what that's about. A lot of people kind of miss that switch and don't then necessarily get what it's trying to tell you. So again, it's kind of one of those things that, a bit like the harmonic scale, it needs a little bit of an explanation to see the value in it. But once you know about it, it is actually quite helpful. And then we've got some export options, so you can export your lyrics and chords as a chord profile, a PDF file, a MIDI for just the chords only, like I mentioned earlier, and you can take that into your DAW and start building out full production from there. And then we've got, as I mentioned, the ability to kind of share your song so that you can add a collaborator and they can edit the song, see everything that you can see. They can listen to the recordings. They can get access to all of that stuff in real time and work with you to co-write the song. Okay, now I'm going to take a breath again and give you a chance to say something.
Yeah, dude, I'm just like blown away by this. This is so cool. I'm actually literally signing up for an account right now. And I mean, you mentioned the collaborative stuff. So that in particular, I thought was really interesting as well. And like, certainly for, this community of artists that we have here, a tool like this seems like a prayer answered, because, this is like such a great tool for collaboration with each other, and some of the integrations that you've shared, the direction things are going with, being able to do critiques, with the AI summaries is extremely cool. So yeah, man, I'm just like super excited about what you just shared. And I was wondering, would it be possible to do like a demo of the collaborative side? Like, so if I create my account right now, would I be able to like actually hop into this session and like play around with it with you?
Yeah.
Cool.
He says with a slight bit of trepidation now, having seen one AI thing not quite work in the demo.
It happens. That's what we have editing for. But yeah, I mean, I think it'd be really cool to play around with that a little bit here. So I just signed up. It was extremely easy to set up. I guess before we get into it, for anyone that's listening to this right now, in terms of like the sign up process, I'm sure a tool like this probably costs like $700 or $800 a month, for someone to sign up for, right? Or like, what's the pricing around it?
Hey, at the moment, we have a free tier that you can use to get started, and then we have what we call SongPad Plus, which kind of activates some of the features that I've shown you and talked about are SongPad Plus features, and that we're currently charging $2.99. That's $2.99, not $299 a month for that. Or you can pay on an annual basis and save yourself a few dollars, and that's $29.99. Yeah.
Yeah, extremely reasonable. Yeah, that is awesome. So I'm doing a little bit of a test here. I'm guessing this probably isn't going to work. I just typed in the URL there. I think I actually might be here. I mean, I opened it up with the ID for the song, and I see a pad here. So I don't know if I just like managed to make it into a different one, or if we're collaborating, or what's happening here. But what would be the best way for us to link up here?
So the best way will be for one or other of us, if we're comfortable doing this, to use our email address. I don't know if you're happy kind of saying what your email address is on a call like this, on a chat, or...
I mean, probably not. For either of us, it probably wouldn't be good to share the direct email address. But I mean, if we like stop sharing for a second, or put it in the chat or something, maybe we can do something.
Yeah. Okay. Let me find the right window on my screen. So I don't know, how do I send a... In fact, you know what? You have my email address, I think.
Yeah, I think I do from when you scheduled the interview.
Yeah. So
Tim loves his mom at hotmail.com.
1, 2, 3.
Oh man. Hotmail. Cool. So I've got the here. So I should like invite you to share, or...
Yeah, and then go to share and put my email address in there. That should then give me...
Cool. So let me log in. New song. The song is going to be called Radioactive Robots. That's sort of an inside joke. It's like our fictitious AI cybernetic artist. So we use it for all of our templates is Radioactive Robot.
Yeah.
So I'll add you here. All right. So I added you with collaborator access. And let's just imagine we wanted to write the Radioactive Robot song. Yeah, maybe starting with that, like that pad that you had there where you could like generate song ideas. Outline. Guided.
Yeah. Okay, I'm joining in now. So
cool.
Do you want me to share my screen again, or how do we want to kind of...
Yeah, I mean, I wonder...
So I'm going to take out the stuff that's in there in terms of...
Can you see my screen now? Is this working?
I can, yeah.
Sweet. And let me just double check. Yes, it looks like it's coming through on both ends. Cool. Guided. Who is talking? A radioactive robot. To whom are they talking? A hesitant human who is considering installing a Neuralink in their brain. Why? They want to ensure the human that it will be a good decision, but secretly they want to control the human's mind. Okay, I don't know if we're going into too much detail here, but
specific.
Are events taking place? Okay, when, where, and how? It's the year 2050, where it's happening in a medical / technology center at midnight. And how? When we say like how, like what do we mean exactly?
So the how is kind of think about how time, so it says it at the end there, think about how times and places can act as metaphors and add color to the song. So if we're thinking about that kind of how aspect, it's like you're talking about having the thing installed. I don't know, is that like a full kind of like cut the top of your head off? Brain surgery? Is it like an injection? Is it nanobots? It's 2050, so maybe things have moved on. There's some detail in there in terms of like maybe just kind of like injecting some liquid metal that's going to work its way through your veins and form its thing. That gives you an interesting metaphor about the thing flowing in your veins and the stuff you could do there. Sorry, I'm riffing off.
It's a brain interface device they will be installing via a robotic arm. Okay.
Slightly inspired by your Terminator comment earlier about
Are you familiar with the concept of Neuralink and like the whole development that's actually happening with that?
It's not something that I'm like deep into. I kind of, to me, that I just like on a totally
personal line.
Yeah, I don't want stuff. I don't fancy being a cyborg. It's kind of that.
Tim Cole, it will be very good for you. Beep beep boop bop. I promise I do not want to secretly control your mind. Okay, 3 stages. Interesting. So each stage, the central idea, the hook should be expanded. The second time the listener hears the hook should mean more than the first time. Find something, the big reveal and unveil the why of the song. Interesting.
Okay, so again, that stuff is from the Berklee School of Music, the lyric writing course. That's kind of like a summary of it. So it's particularly if you kind of got a hook in mind, you know, that you can as you progress through the song, that hook and kind of each time it comes back, it's like a little bit like, you know, because it's adding to it each time and it's kind of taking on a different meaning as the song progresses.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, what would be an interesting hook for something like this? I mean, the first thing that came to my mind was the Star Trek with the Borg and their like resistance is futile.
Yeah,
something with that could be interesting. It's something about just resistance is futile. Stage 1, and maybe it changes. So first, the resistance is futile is like very clearly like an evil Borg thing, but if it starts out and it's more like resistance is like, you know, like it sort of gradually evolves into a point where it's like resistance is futile. It's like stage 3, and it's like, oh no, like the whole time it was evil and trying to control me.
Yeah, and then you've got the big reveal at the end. It's like, that's what it was. We didn't see that one coming, even though the song was called Skynet. It was not.
Stage 1, the robot is friendly and useful at helping human achieve things. Stage 2, the robot starts to subtly indicate that it wants to influence the human. Stage 3, the human successfully infiltrates the human mind. I'm much more of an optimistic thinker in terms of like what's actually going to happen with robotics and AI, but you know, worst case scenario, this is what will happen. Cool. So after we type this in, so it doesn't need to be like longer. This looks like it says 264 out of 1,000. Does this need to like go?
Fine. Yeah.
Okay. And where do I select? Is it just like auto saved, or do I need to click save somewhere?
So that's saved as you type it, as you kind of move around the boxes. That's saved, and in fact, I've got the song open, and I can go in. I can see the guide, and I can see everything that you've put in there. So so if we're working together, I can see all that. Yeah.
So now, if we went back to lyrics and we asked the AI to generate the song, it would at least get us started with it, or we'd go to lyrics now, lyric helper.
Yeah. And we need to give it a few more details in terms of so we need to, with the lyric helper, it uses what's in the lyric pad rather than what's in that outline pad. So we need to start to give it a little bit of a shape of something in here in order to kind of start writing.
It would be kind of cool. It would be kind of cool if there was a way to like create the outline, like, or generate the full, like you talked about. I think the most important thing is not to replace, the human creativity, but to like augment it. But it might be helpful to have like a one-click button where it's like, hey, like you entered the whole thing. So we're just going to give you at least like a couple of outlines that you could start with as, starting point. Might be interesting.
Hey, you've frozen. You froze for a second for me there.
Okay. Were you able to hear the part, or should I repeat what I
And
just
you
said
were
there?
you were saying it'd be interesting to have it generate something from that outline. That's
Yeah.
something that I've yeah, without kind of revealing too much, that's something that we've got kind of a little bit in the process, but and also I've dabbled with a kind of more chat style assistant in terms of saying,
Hmm.
what do you want to write about,
Hmm.
and working through that process
Interesting.
to create the outline and to create the lyrics, that kind of thing. But yeah, but at the moment, this stuff, that tool's been around longer than the AI stuff, that outline thing. So it's not actually kind of wired up into doing that, but we could definitely make it do that. For
Curious if it will be able to give us a start with something. The infiltration of 2050. And so the format that we're looking for is like use this for like comments,
that's it.
and we want this to be a popular song, so it's got to be our 4-chord structure there. Oh, cool.
The seductive promise, yeah.
The resistance futile repeats, luring the listener to a sense of inevitability. Ha, interesting. That's actually kind of a cool progression. Can you write some example lyrics for an outline? And yeah, I mean, if we have like a little bit of a format here in this format. Oh, that's interesting. It's using Markdown, so it's like,
Okay, yeah.
huh.
Yeah, while it's doing that, I'll
So it's
say
not
I
like the
have
lyrics aren't
dabbled with trying to
amazing,
get
right? Like
ChatGPT to write
definitely
melodies
room
based
to
from
improve
lyrics
these.
as well. And yeah, again, doing some fine tuning with giving it specific melody examples in a text based format, and that's pretty hit and miss at the moment as well. But it's something that I'm kind of working on.
Huh. Okay. So I mean, we have a little bit of something here. I mean, yeah, I'm not crazy, but I mean, some of these lyrics are sort of like classic AI, like a bit gimmicky or just a little bit. You can kind of just like sense when. But I mean, some of these are actually not too bad. I wonder if we did the show hints. Yeah, I mean, not too bad in terms of like the colors of
Yeah,
some of them.
yeah. There's not like big lines of red and stuff.
Cool. I mean, that's awesome, dude. I mean, this platform is super cool, and I'm really looking forward to sharing it with our community here. And for anyone that is listening to this right now, maybe I know we're approaching the end of our interview here, but maybe Tim, you could briefly walk through how someone, if someone's listening to this right now or watching this, and they're interested in diving in and exploring this platform for themselves, where can they go do that?
So it's www.songpad.app. There is a songpad.com, and that's not us. So you want to go to songpad.app is the place to go to. And and as I said earlier, you can get started for free, sign up. There's no credit card required or anything. It's only needed if you want to start accessing some of the more advanced features.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I just shared it here with the community chat, and man, thank you for coming on here and sharing this tool that you created. I mean, it's interesting. I think a lot of the greatest inventions are created from people like yourself who they want to build it for themselves. Then it turns out to be super valuable for everyone else. So I can appreciate as a aspiring software developer myself in the past couple of years, I've been learning. So it's been fun to open up, the world of, software development. And so seeing what you built is, personally inspiring. And also I think it's going to be super useful to our community here. So thank you for creating it, and looking forward to helping you to get in front of more musicians, because I think all of us could certainly benefit from using this as a tool.
Oh, thank you. That's really great. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come and chat about it and show it, and and let people know about the platform. Thanks.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and let's wrap up with a virtual round of applause. Yeah! And